Welcome to the 12th ALFILM Home Edition. Tonight we have the pleasure to invite you to a panel discussion on flight and migration in film, and where we explore the position and the role of a filmmaker in the question of migration. I'm very happy to have with us the panelists who will be introduced in a minute. I'm also happy to have with us this evening's host, Katja Hermann from the Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung. Katja is the head of the West Asia unit at the headquarters of the Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung. But before working in Berlin, she was heading the Palestine office of the foundation in Ramallah. In addition, Katja has worked in different fields related to West Asia, including research, university, teaching, and training. Katja holds a PhD in Middle Eastern Studies from the Free University of Berlin and is also a trained mediator. Now I'm very delighted to hand over to you, dear Katja. Thank you for hosting this talk, and thank you to the panelists for being with us. Enjoy the discussion.
Thank you very much, Karin, for this nice introduction. A warm welcome also from my side. A warm welcome to the panel Flight and Migration in Film. I'm very honored to have 4 filmmakers and protagonist actors with me tonight. And I would like to introduce the 4 one after the other. I would like to say hi to Amel, Alzakout, Khaled, Abdulwahed, Wissam, Tanios, and Milad, Khawam. Amel, she is the director of the film Purple Sea. She is born in Syria. She is an artist and filmmaker now based in the city of Leipzig. She has studied journalism at Cairo University in Egypt. She also has studied art at Weißensee Art Academy in Berlin. And currently she is studying media art at the Academy of Visual Art in Leipzig in Germany. Amel in 2017 has participated together with other artists in the video installation Trust Us in the Herbstsalon at Maxim Gorki Theater in Berlin. In 2018, she won, together with her co-director Khaled Abdulwahed, the film prize of the Robert Bosch Stiftung for International Cooperation in Germany, Arab world, with a feature film Purple Sea, produced by Pong Film. Purple Sea is her first directing. Hi to Amel, nice to have you here. Khaled, I would like to introduce you very briefly. Also, Khaled is born in Syria. He is an artist, a photographer, and a filmmaker, and he's also based in Leipzig. He studied fine art and graphic design at Adham Ismail Art School in Damascus and at Frederick University in Nicosia, Cyprus. Khaled has had several exhibitions in the Middle East and in Europe. Between 2011 and 2013, he directed and produced different video artworks, which was screened in many art spaces, in festivals, in universities and TV channels all over the world. Welcome, ahlan wa sahlan, to Khaled as well. Okay, now Wissam, I would like to welcome you, and I would like to introduce you very briefly. Wissam, he is the director of the film We Are From There. He studied cinema in Beirut, Lebanon. The cinema that tackles subjects like family, detachment, grief, and human relationships is his favorite. His short films, Aftermath and Departures, won the Best Documentary at the Lebanese Film Festival in 2012 and the Best Narrative Short at the 2nd Annual Alwan Awards in New York. We Are From There, that celebrated world premiere at International Film Festival Rotterdam in 2020, is Wissam's first feature film. It was awarded Best Arab Film and Best Non-Fiction Film at 2020 Cairo International Film Festival. Welcome, Wissam, again.
Katja, how are you?
And hi to Beirut. Last but not least, Milad, I would like to introduce you. You are one of the two, let's say, main protagonists of the film. We are from there, cousin of Wissam, and one of the two brothers who the film portrays on the way to Europe. Milad is a trumpet player, a producer, and a composer. He studied classical and Arabic music at the Higher Institute of Music in Damascus, I think. He's now based in Berlin, next to where I am right now. And Milad plays and played principal trumpet with many orchestras between Europe and the Middle East since 2010. He has also been a featured soloist in various groups, performing at Morgenland Fest in 2016. In 2017, he composed the original soundtrack for the short film No Monsters in Berlin, a short film which won the Grand Jury Prize of Diversity in Cannes Short Film Showcase. Wow. Milad's compositions have been performed at many festivals, and his debut album release, To the West, was on May 2020 on X Jazz Music Berlin. You can listen, and I did that, to his music also on Spotify. And I think the trailer of this year's ALFILM Festival is also made by you, Milad. Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome to the panel. Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Now let's turn to the two films. We are going to speak today about Purple Sea and about We Are From There. Let me start with Purple Sea. I give a very brief summary, and then we will screen a little excerpt from the film, a little piece of the film, so that our audience knows about what we are talking afterwards. The Syrian couple, Amel and Khaled, met in exile in Turkey. While Khaled was able to move on to Berlin legally, the way to Europe remained blocked to Amel. In the end, Amel decided to make her way to Europe with smugglers across the Mediterranean Sea. In their film, Purple Sea, which has celebrated its world's premiere at the Berlinale 2020, the couple processed the experience and the stereotypes prevailing in Europe. Visually, the film focuses on what has happened after the boat had sunk between the Turkish coast and the Greek island of Lesbos. A great part of the film takes place under the surface of the water. Now we watch a little piece of the film together.
القارب بيتكسر، ما في أرض تحتي. بترك الدرابسين وبنط بالبحر. عتمة، ريحة المي المالحة، في صوت غريب.
Okay. Yes, this film we are going to talk after the introduction. But let me say, Amel, I'm very happy to see you here. You know, when I was watching this film, it was absolutely terrifying, and knowing that I'm talking to you and that you are alive, you know, helped me to watch the movie, because it was really a big thing to go for it, and I'm very happy to have you here. Maybe if you allow me this personal note at the beginning.
Thank you so much.
Now I would like to speak briefly about the second film, We Are From There. In light of the war in Syria, two brothers from Damascus in their mid-20s decide to start their lives from scratch in new countries. Jamil plans to go to Stockholm, Milad to Berlin. They leave everything behind except their passion for life, determination, sense of humor, and hope for a better future. Their closest cousin, Wissam, based in Beirut, decides to film their journeys for over 5 years, questioning the true meaning of home and belonging, bringing back some childhood memories from Damascus, while exploring the human ability to cope with change, as radical as it may be. The film has celebrated world premiere at the International Film Festival in Rotterdam in 2020 and has been awarded the Best Arab Film and Best Non-Fiction Film at the 2020 Cairo International Film Festival. Let us see a little piece of this film together.
هاي ميلو،
هاي
كيفك؟ منيح، خبرني عنك انت.
والله طب ما عم بطلع كثير. خبرني عن بدي بتمنى يا ريت لو عندي رفقات مثلا، شوف حدا يجي لعندي، روح لعند حدا، اطلع ساعة مثلا. ما في.
طب ليش ما رحت انت وجميل على نفس البلد؟
انا حابب اروح استقل لحالي، ابني حياتي هيك من الصفر جديدة، ما يكون في حدا حوالي. يعني بدي اعيش، ابني سيركل لحالي، عرفت شلون؟ يعني من الاخر كان بدي اكون حر. ماني زعلان، يعني عرفان هذا الشيء قبل ما اطلع، عرفان انا راح اطلع، راح اتوحد هنيك لحالي لانه ما راح اعرف حدا. هي بس فترة، يعني بكره تفوت جامعة وهيك بظن الحل يمشي الوقت. يعني ما يعني شو استسلم؟ قل لي شو اعمل؟ شو الحل؟
Yeah, that was an excerpt from We Are From There. And after having the introduction to you and into the films, very briefly, I would like to talk with you about your films. And If I ask two personal questions that you don't want to answer, you just tell me that, okay? So I feel free to ask you, but you can feel free to answer or not to answer. That is also very important for me. I would like to start a question to Wissam in Beirut. Why did you decide to tell this very specific story about the journey of your cousins?
Actually, it came in a very organic, authentic way. Like I knew that one of my cousins want to live the same way. I used to see images of people on the TV, people my age, going from a country to another through smugglers, illegally to somewhere else. And then when they told me that they wanted to take the same journey, it was like a slap in the face. So organically, the first thing that came to my mind that I wanted to archive this journey. I wanted to archive the transition they are going through. What interested me is these two characters that are in a transitional phase, and I wanted to archive that. I didn't think of doing a film at first. I just wanted to archive what's happening. And then bit by bit, the idea grew, and I started realizing that I'm making a feature film about my two cousins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a very personal film, isn't it? Was it clear for Jamil and Milad that it's getting so personal and that we are discussing the film today with international audiences?
Actually, we weren't prepared for that. We didn't know that we're even gonna have a feature film. It started, as I said before, it started in a very organic way, and they didn't know. I told them that I want to film what's happening with them, and both of them, like Jamil and Milad, they are both used to being in front of the camera. This is because, thankfully, because of my uncle and father, who used to film us with his VHS camera since we were very young. He used to follow us everywhere, even like to some very intimate places. We have hours and hours of rushes since we were like 3 years old. So the three of us are very used to be in front of the camera because of my uncle. So when I first told them that I want to film what's happening, they had maybe the same idea of what their father used to do. Film them, but this time I'm not in front of the camera, but I'm the one behind the camera and filming them. So they weren't very surprised of the presence of the camera because they are used to it. But to tell you the truth, we filmed, and I never showed them what I'm filming until almost the end of the film, because I didn't want them to feel very aware of the camera. I wanted to give the impression of like to work on the intimacy, to let it stay in a frame of a family film, of like home videos. I didn't want them to be like very aware of this barrier, because when you put the camera in front of characters, it's a totally different perspective, even if you know the characters very well. So I took this decision that they didn't see anything of the film until almost the end.
Okay. Milad, Wissam is saying that you and your brother were used to be in front of the camera because your father was filming all the time. How is it for you to see such a film in these days, you know, after this film has been finalized? How do you feel about it, about such an intimate and private portray of your journey?
Well, I took my time to be able to see it, and I took a very long time to accept it, because it's, as you say, it's so personal, and I wasn't planning ever to document what's happening, because for me it was like a period in my life that I don't want to remember. I don't want to go back to it. And at the very end, when Wissam told me everything and I had the chance to see the film, it was after 3 years, I think. After 3 years, I left Germany. So I saw it as another person's story. I couldn't see myself there. I saw the film. I said, "Wow, how did I do that? Who is that?" You know, it was really weird for me to see myself there in in that way. And then after I saw it, I understood what was happening, what's going on. Like I've seen myself there, but it was weird, and it's still weird. But for now, it's like it's a past, and when I see it, I see another person. So I still see it as another person's story. I can't see myself there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Wissam, the film, we are from there focused, in my understanding, much more on the time before the journey and after the journey, and definitely not on the crossing. Why did you choose to have such a focus in your film, which is quite different from what Purple Sea is showing?
Yeah, this is the decision, a decision I made since the beginning, since I started the shooting, because I wanted to focus on as a person and as a filmmaker, I'm interested in characters in transition, to film characters in transition. And this is what interested me in the story of Milad and Jamil, because we filmed a part of the story before they traveled. And then when they traveled, I saw some kind of like evolution of the characters. And this is what I wanted to follow. That's why I dismissed the crossing, because for me, it's not about the crossing, the physical crossing, because personally, in my opinion, like I felt that I've seen a lot of images of the crossing. So I wanted to focus more on the I haven't seen much about what happens to these people after the crossing. So this is what interested me, the evolution of these two characters, transition of the two, because I was seeing them and I'm grateful for that, because they let me seeing them grow in front of my lens, in front of the lens of the camera, because we started filming in 2015 and we finished in 2020. So when you watch, like like for me, when I see some scenes, because I was 25 when I started making the film, and I finished it when I was 30 years old. So I also grew up. They also grew up. We all gained some maturity. And as Milad said, when he watches himself, he says, "Who is this person?" And sometimes, even for me, even for Jamil, we say, "Who is this person?" But I think it's good that for me, it's satisfying for me that I was able to archive this part of our life, because this is who we are, or this is who we were. But it's a human condition. Like we grow up, we become different people, but the past remains there.
Mm-hmm. So you made another part of the family's archive as well, adding to your
Exactly.
uncle's filming.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, which is beautiful. Milad, when watching the film, I was wondering and asking myself the question why you and Jamil have decided not to travel together and not to go to the same country, but to go to different locations. Maybe that is a very simple thing, but I was wondering that it might be much easier, to go with your brother to the same country. But somehow I felt that you, I don't know, maybe it's too much to say you wanted to do your own thing, but maybe you can help me with that, Milad.
Like it was a really difficult decision that we took. At the beginning, I wasn't planning to leave, because we are like only two boys in the family and one sister. So for sure, one has to stay there. And personally, I can't stay there anymore. And Jamil also can't stay there anymore, because he was already in Lebanon working. Let's not talk about the Arab country, that there is no future there. I said to my brother, okay, you go, I will stay. I kind of lied a little bit, but I had a view of the future, how it will be. If I left before Jamil, I'm sure he would stay in Damascus, he would never leave. And that means, I don't know what means if he stays there. So after he went to Sweden, I was sure that he arrived safe, all is fine. I told my mother, look, I'm leaving, I'm going. She understood, totally, she understood. And I decided to just go to the west side of the earth. I didn't really plan to go to Germany or to Sweden, to anything. I was just like going. And I had some friends in Germany, and as I'm a trumpet player, I know the German brass education is so good. So I want to continue my future in Germany for music reasons. And then luckily I arrived to Germany and I start doing what I want to do. And I, like as I said in the film, I want to build a new life, a new circle from zero, from scratch, try to start a new beginning, white beginning, you know, without anybody telling me or suggesting to me what to do. Of course, brothers and family cares about me. They want to tell me do that and do this. But I had another perspective of life, so I want to try to make it by myself. Yeah, I don't know if I helped you with the answer.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you very much. I mean, Jamil and you, as you are also portrayed in this film, you are very different characters. I don't want to go into that too much, but since we are talking about migration and flight, would you say this experience, a similar experience of leaving your home country, was more of a connector to the two of us or more of a separator?
I didn't understand your question.
Yes, I mean, Jamil and you are quite different characters, I would say, you know, different persons, different personalities, different interests. But you made a very similar experience. You both left your home country. Okay.
Yeah.
So is that connecting you further, or is that also separating you more because you took different decisions?
At the end, everybody wants a better future. So that's something connected between us, but we are also like brothers. Okay, we are different personalities, but we are still brothers, you know. And everybody wants better future. And it wasn't only me and my brother. There was millions of people that immigrated, and they all had only one reason: to have better future.
Yeah. It was beautiful to see the old pictures from Damascus, you know. I have lived quite a while in Bab Shai and Bab Tuma. So when I saw these pictures, I thought, oh, wow, time is running, and it was very touching and very beautiful to see also the place of your parents and, you know, this wood workshop in this tiny little streets. That was beautiful. And I think also from the filmmaking aspect, very good mixture of formats and, you know, perspectives and times that you brought in. Yeah. I would like to change a bit to Purple Sea, Amel. The film focuses absolutely very radical on the crossing between the Turkish coast and the Greek island of Lesbos, especially in the time when the boat has sunk. It shows terrific scenes. I talked about it a bit in the beginning. Why did you choose this part of your journey, in big brackets, of course, for the film? Why this part?
First, thank you for the introduction. It's really good to be here.
Pleasure.
When I will go back a little bit to the intention of filming, because also Wissam said something about how the decision was personal. And when I wanted to film at the beginning, I never thought about filming for making a film. For me, the crossing was something unusual, like anybody else. I think we were experiencing this a lot, like you do something, you don't realize that what you are doing at the moment, you want to survive, but at the same time, if you think about it, it's really completely a bizarre situation that you are going through. So I think that a lot of people who migrated, or a lot of refugees filmed as well their trip. For me, it was I took everything I have. I took my mobile, I took a small camera that I have, and I happened to have the small waterproof camera. which was very small. It doesn't have a screen on it, so you cannot see what you are filming. And it's for me, it was very functional because I could hide it. I was scared, to be honest, to film in front of the smuggler. So I attached it to my wrist, and I was almost filming from the very beginning, from Istanbul, from the smuggler office, all the way to the sea. On the sea, I was filming intentionally, of course, but the moment that the boat collapsed, I wasn't in control of the camera anymore. I didn't at the beginning knew that it's filming, it's still filming. And after arriving in Berlin, for me it was, I actually also filmed the after the sea. I mean, when we took the road, the Balkan route to Germany, I kept filming as well. But for me, and I mean, when I arrived and I saw the footages, I was shocked as anybody else, because as you see in Purple Sea, it wasn't my perspective, it's the camera perspective most of the time. And I was really, it's something that I haven't seen, Khaled haven't seen, our friends who we shared the film with also were shocked. The thing is, we tried everything at the beginning, to be honest, and this is also, again, I'm referring to what Milad said also, that he didn't want to see himself in the footages, and this has happened to me as well. I was resisting to be a victim, to be a person in the sea, to show myself in this way, and I feel it really applies to everybody else. So we tried at the beginning to find other ways. Sometimes we really put the whole materials aside. We didn't want to use them. But it was really as playing in, I don't know, in different thing. I mean, that the material was, they were irresistible, not because of their beauty, because, you know, I mean, they are beautiful, as harsh as beautiful. But really everything else was just collapsing in front of this perspective. Yeah.
Khaled, as far as I understood, you have been connected to Amel via mobile phone, via GPS. Maybe you can speak about that a bit. But Khaled, how did you cope with the situation, knowing Amel on the sinking boat and struggling for life? How did you cope with such a situation?
I would start as how Wissam described it. It's like slap on the face. I mean, I was in the camps. I came legally, yes, and I immediately applied for asylum, and I was moved to the camps. And in the camps, I was surrounded by thousands and thousands of people who refuged from different trajectories, from Africa, from Asia, and I have been overwhelmed with the horrible stories I'm hearing from them about. So, and definitely I'm checking the news also, and suddenly Amel decided to come on the same route, and I was definitely I was resisting, and but I mean, decision she took, and I have nothing to do except to hook myself with the GPS, like other friends too. I mean, I wasn't alone, and yeah, I mean, I experienced something very, very unusual. It's not unusual. I mean, there is thousands and thousands of people who experienced it, but is to be blind. To be completely blind. You don't know what's happening there. You don't, it's just a small dot moving on a graphic of your device. And that was yeah, I mean, when the dot has stopped, I didn't know what, I wanted to convince myself all the time, like the battery ran off. There is no coverage in the middle of the sea, which is also, I mean, it's bullshit. I mean, it's only 10 kilometers. This distance between Europe and it's shocking. And long story, make it short, Amel came and she had the footages. And as she mentioned, I mean, she hadn't thought of a film. I haven't thought of the film. Actually, I knew that she's filming just before that she wanted to film the journey, and it was a very personal decision on her side, and also on the other side, she told me that you wanted to be in this journey, and by camera maybe I could make you closer to this journey. And the dynamic was different of dealing with those footages. For Amel, it was a kind of, yeah, I mean, the footages, what is the footages comparing what to what she experienced with other 320 people in the seawater. So she was able to check them frequently. She was able to see them. She was interested to see that different angle because the camera was on her wrist, so it's not, and there is no screen, as she mentioned. And on my side, it was so the footages, I think they worked as distancing her from the event. On the opposite side, it was for me. It took me 1 year to finish all the footages to see. I couldn't. I mean, the footages is, I don't know what kind of word. It's horrible. It's extremely. I haven't seen something like this. The footages is kind of started to communicate, or I started to see them in a different way that I'm used to see footages, because I mean. The camera started to be as a detector of emotion of someone, of a hand of someone who's trying to survive her life in the seawater. And after seeing all the footages, and I felt of a kind of getting little bit closer to what happened. I mean, never experienced it. Definitely footages can do this. It's impossible, but to comprehend, and this is started with the footages, but it went deeper and deeper and deeper when we decided to make a film and going through the script process.
Thank you, Khaled. Amel, how was it for you to go through the footages and to technically build a film based on your experience? I don't think that we have such a film, I mean, before.
As Khaled said at the beginning, it was I was really curious to see what the camera has filmed. It was kind of I wanted to see if the camera saw what I have seen. Sometimes I like just to remind me with some events that really happened in the water, and so there was this kind of urgency at the beginning, which led to at the beginning I mean, before we thought of a film, we thought how to go legally with these material, how to use them as an evidence in the court or someplace, and it was very important. And here we were able to share the footages with Forensic Architecture, who made an investigation film about it, because we believe it was really important also to talk about what happened exactly and who's responsible. We had this with this burden, I mean. And when we started to work with Forensic Architecture, we at the same time felt like it's not only this, it's very important to talk about it from the personal perspective, and which is not very much usually happens, because I'm not talking that everybody should talk about their experience, but I'm talking about comparing, for instance, to the media, to what we see in the media, how we see the news of refugees, how they are being minimized to war and where they came from, but we don't know much of them. And here came the idea of what we wanted to share actually in this film. We wanted to tell this person, the mindset of this person in the water, that she lived before, and she's still living. She's continuing her life, and it's not only the event, which is a very big aspect of what happened. Actually, all the film is based on this moment, but it opened up the space more for us to talk about the I, the individual, which is not I as me, as one person. It could be anybody else.
So all of you were very much focusing on the personal and the individual thing in the images that you made and created. Maybe one question to all of you, next to the individual story, do you think that filmmaking is also a political task or has a political message to the world? Look at our experiences, look at these pictures in the Mediterranean? Or would you say, well, no, for us, it's first and foremost a personal thing? Who would like to answer, or who would like to share an idea?
Milo.
No, say it, Wissam.
Go ahead.
Okay. But personally, I don't like politics, and I wish not to be not to have any politics subject, but it's not my decision anymore. The moment I decided to leave my country, I became a political person. And the moment I applied for asylum accommodation in Germany, I'm related to political. So if we say yes or no, it's not our decision. I relate to politics.
Okay, Wissam?
I think like for me, it's a mix of both, and it's very important like to tell stories from a personal perspective to raise a political issue, because like as I totally agree with what Amel said, because what the media are showing of the refugees, what we're seeing is that these people are victims, and that was a very challenge like for me while I was making VR from there, that like we like the challenge and like also the political challenge, not to show these two people as two victims, but as two young people who have dreams, who have who are not going to Europe just to eat or to drink, because they want to exist somewhere else. And this is a very important layer that we rarely see as Amel said, in the media, because people are always, even in cinema, they are always labeled. We put labels on the characters and on the films, and sometimes it's a very frustrating for the filmmakers, because like these two characters or the characters in Amel's films are not only Syrian, but these are two human beings who they have their flaws. They're not heroes all the time. They have their flaws. They're like everybody else. They can be the person you meet at the market. They can be your neighbor. They can be the cashier in the supermarket. They can be anyone. This is what personally we wanted to do, and we are from that. So to answer your question, I think it's both. It's they are merged together, the personal and the political.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Amel and Khaled, what would you say?
I just want to emphasize on Milad's thought, like you don't have a choice anymore, even if you want to. But I believe like we are living in a political, big political world right now. So we cannot avoid that every tiny thing, every tiny details could be related to politics. Maybe it's not on the we have also like a very typical thinking about politics in a bigger mean, like it's just about countries and governments and everything, but it could be really the minor things that we have. What I wanted just to say briefly that, of course, the films are political. I mean, from my side, I didn't make them to be political, but they are political in a way. But I believe that the filmmaker doesn't have the how to say it, the mission to always be politically exposed. So the film like while working on the film, it will decide if it's really political or not.
I think it depends what our understanding to political. I think from the moment someone decide to be concerned about the individual experience, or let's call it the inner space, and what the connection with the outer world, it's a politic. I mean, I think this is the definition of politic, that it's the dynamic between you as individual and the world surrounding you. It's not about prime minister and the president, and definitely all comes together in that big mess. That if you want to ask me, Wissam film is political, or the political news reports we are seeing on the TV, no, his film I think is more political from the news, from the whole news, because it has that connection between a human being and what concern him as someone, and what are the circumstances around us.
Sorry, if you just I would add something. In one of the festivals, somebody asked in the Q&A, what is it with all this romanticizing? Because for him, purposely was romanticizing about a love story film. And I totally understand it, but this is how people see politics. I mean, for us, politics is, in the film, I mean, it's to highlight on the individual life, to make an encounter to what the media is showing. But for him, of course, it's more about how many people died and how long it takes them to rescue us. I see it. It's really like, this is more of a bigger idea of politics. So.
Yes, it's romanticizing. Yes, why not? I mean, just to check the people who are crossing. I mean, mothers, fathers, sisters, boyfriends, girlfriends, fiancés, lovers, husbands, and what? It's.
Yeah, I just want to add something like very small, because that joins what Amel said, because also in one of the festivals we had a question, and like we had like a note, and he said like when he watched the film he felt like it's migrating, it's like going on vacation. This is what he felt when watching the film, although like we didn't intend to do that, but we wanted to implement some hope in the film, because life, it's all about ups and downs. It's not always downs, and these characters are not always victims. Sometimes they are heroes, sometimes they want something, they don't get it, like everybody else, they are just human beings. And I felt that sometimes also talking about politics, like people aren't always ready to see something out of the box. Like if you're a refugee, they should see you all the time sad, all the time depressed, and like being a poor guy in a European country. So it's not always like that. So this is like adding to the politics things, because talking about putting a character out of the label, this is also politics. It doesn't have to be, as Khaled and Amel said, governments or prime ministers or anything. Raising such issues in cinema is also politics.
Yeah, thank you very much for these very clear and very reflected thoughts you are sharing. It's very interesting. I personally would like to see both films, you know, in cinemas in Europe, in Germany, but also in Brussels. And we can see maybe later what we could do there, because I think that these pictures are very essential. You know, they are very different films. They show very different stories and very different aspects of flight and migration, of course. But we all know, you know, like in Berlin and in Europe, we all know that these stories are happening, but we don't want to see them, or many people here don't want to see these stories, the personalities, the behind migration and flight. That is especially true, I think, for the pictures in Purple Sea. We know that is going on in the Mediterranean, but we try to close our eyes individually and politically, which I think should not happen. So I'm very grateful that you brought us your images and your understandings in a film that we can watch. And yeah, I wish both films a lot of visitors and audiences, of course, all over the world, but especially here in Europe. Do you have maybe wishes for your own films that you would have a final word on it? What are you wishing your films? Where do you want to have it seen? Maybe we make a final round on that question before we close.
Like for us personally, I think the more this kind of film is seen, the more it creates a social impact. So what's important for us, like for my producers and I, is to show the film as much as we can to a wider audience, that the film can be accessible to all the people, because it's a very intimate and personal film. So we're aiming not to have any barrier between the audience and the team behind the film. So we want the film to be seen. Actually, this is our wish.
Thank you for this wish. Of course, I share it. Are there more wishes?
I mean, I think for us, it's also, as Wissam said, of course, to reach as much audience as it's possible, and to connect with them personally. But we also wish that the film goes to the Arab countries, to the Middle East especially, because it's important to show it there to the people who are there. And yes, so I hope so soon.
Okay, yeah. More wishes, Khaled, Milad.
To maybe to raise the questions, to raise as much as the questions as possible. Starting from the question you ask about politics, to the politics of images, just raising questions on as a counter to all this narrow representations of other groups of people, whoever, what tag we put on them, and also the unfortunately the evolving culture of graphic images, of images of death, and which not considering human dignity.
Yeah, thank you very much. Milad, final word, final wish?
I have nothing to add, but I wish for the long future that the human will have some tools to be able to watch this movie and know what we are made of.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I think time is over. Final thank you very much from my side before I hand over to Karin for the goodbye. thank you very much for sharing not only your films, but also the stories behind it and your very personal stories. Thank you very much for being so open and so intimate here. And I wish that many people will see the films and will take something out of it. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Katja.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Karin, now I'm handing over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Katja. Can you see me?
Yes, of course.
Yes, okay, I can't see myself, so at least you can see me, that's good. Thank you very much for this, for leading us through this talk, dear Katja, and thank you to the panelists, Amel and Khaled and Wissam and Milad, for this very personal insight. And my wish is, of course, that we see you soon back with the next project and in the cinema. This is my biggest wish, that we come back to life outside and inside the cinema again. Thank you very much. And to our dear audience, we will continue with the talk at 7 o'clock. It's with Florian Kunert and Milena Desse. It's on the double feature on memory, place and memory. Thank you and see you in an hour. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.